Hello friends, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to Dots of Destiny. The video is on the retrogression of Saturn and the second half of 2026. Now, as we have completed six months of 2026, which were as turbulent as they were, but obviously the second half of 2026 promises equal turbulency. Obviously, by now you have understood that we are not in the normal times with Jupiter Atichari and lot of other things happening. The planets are behaving in a very different way. And that is why I need to talk a little bit about, I have taken up the thing that how the second half of 2026 looks like. Now, retrogression of Saturn is one point, definitely. When I used to take my classes, till now also I'm learning. It's a learning process. Astrology is always about learning. But one of my favorite teachers used to tell me that he used to explain retrogression in this way, that when Saturn is direct, we do the karma that is designed for us. And then when Saturn goes retrograde, actually we go for the rectification or the storage karma that was left behind from the prarabdha. A part of it comes in its own due course with Rahu Ketu axis and the other dasha and antardasha, whatever is running. At that time we rectify those. New karma can be created, but first we have to rectify those. That is why a person having natal retrograde planets like especially Saturn, Jupiter, which remains retrograde for a very long period of time, has a lot of pending karma. And that is why the achievement of those people who have Saturn retrograde, Jupiter retrograde together, these kind of retrogradations, the life of those persons are not very fast forward. They have to try again and again, as they have to deal with their unfinished karma also at the same time. Now, over here, we always see, as July month is here, the first day of July today, Saturn will go retrograde by the end of the month. Now, this whole July month, the movement of Saturn will be very slow, because it becomes stationary. Though all this is an optical illusion, because the other planets are running forward fast, it seems that this planet is moving backward. But before moving backward, excuse me, it stops. Then it starts its movement backward. So, July month, very slow movement of Saturn. August, September, October, November, Saturn is retrograde. December month, again, it goes stationary first, then it starts moving forward. That month also, the movement of Saturn is very slow. That means from July to December, it is a very slow Saturn that we see. Most of the year it is like this only. Whichever 4 months it is retrograde for at this 2026, August, September, October, November, but the before month and the after month also is not very high speed movement of Saturn. As it is, it's a slow planet. Now this year, what is happening with the retrogression of Saturn is that Mars and Venus, Jupiter is Atichari, and see one thing, Saturn goes direct 11th of December, Jupiter goes retrograde exactly nearly that same time. So they are not colliding with the retrogression. Now here's when Saturn is retrograde, Jupiter is having a 9th aspect on Saturn. If you take it that this aspect of Jupiter is making the cruel malefic graha Saturn softer, I mean, then it's okay. You can have that kind of optimism or feel good factor. What I see is that because the aspect of Jupiter is on the sign of Pisces, and ninth aspect of Jupiter is Dharma, because the ninth aspect of, because the ninth sign is also Sagittarius. So here the double transit of Jupiter and Saturn, because Saturn is in Pisces and Jupiter aspecting with the ninth aspect on this Saturn, retrograde Saturn especially, as I'm talking about retrograde Saturn at this point of time, certain things will come to an end, and you will be doing the ending works so that the thing ends. Jupiter guides you towards that. Now, understanding that Pisces is the sign of endings and Aries is new beginnings, we are running the theme of Uttar Bhadrapada Saturn and Revati Saturn. Exactly next June, Saturn will go into Aries. Yes, it will go retrograde and come back, but that is just 4 months of Pisces. November 2027, December, January 2028, February. So do not pay too much of heed to that. Officially, more or less, Saturn will run into Aries from 2027 of June, 2nd of June. So these few months, this whole year of 2026, you'll see, you will be closing down a lot of things, and the planets will make you do that. That is the ninth aspect of Jupiter on Saturn, because Jupiter will aid Saturn and give you the knowledge. That is the best part. If something has to end, there will be endings, and whether it's a job, relationship, anything, it can be anything, but these are major karmic endings with Saturn in Uttar Bhadrapada retrograde and Revati also. Jupiter will give you the knowledge. At least you will not be in the darkness that why I am doing these things. That is the best thing. And it is the dharma of Jupiter, the ninth aspect of Jupiter, which is very good, very benevolent, and you should follow that path. Over here, other than these two planets, Mars and Venus is making lot of changes. Now see, Venus from August onwards will go into debilitation. Now also in July month, Venus is not in a great condition with Ketu and Venus combination in Leo. So, whichever houses Venus rules for you, they will go for some changes definitely. As the planet Venus is going into debilitation from August, then it will go to Libra, come back retrograde again, and then go forward, ending its transit in Libra. August, September, October, November, December. 5 months Venus will be in debilitation and then into Libra. Now please do not take as debilitation of Libra horrible and debilitation of Venus horrible and Libra is great. No, it's not like that. Depending upon where these things falls, there will also be some rectification, some correction, some relationship process, endings, beginnings, that is bound to happen, because these are the times. And Mars is having a very erratic transit. It's very unusual, if not erratic, that 10 months planet stays in Cancer and Leo. These are the luminary signs. And also Mars is crossing Gandanta again and again. So lot of things in this next 6 months and the coming next 6 months of the first 6 months of or 5 months of 2027, lot of things in particular areas of your life. Overall chart is vibrated. And as I was talking about Saturn retrograde, the retrogression of Saturn is a planetary movement, but exactly you will not do all the things regarding Aquarius and Capricorn. No, it's not like that. Wherever the karma needs to be look back and rectified and then movement forward, that will be done by Saturn's retrogression in this phenomena of Uttar Bhadrapada and Revati. So it's a very interesting, at the same time, from astrological perspective, it is very, very interesting. Another thing is that Rahu will move into Capricorn. Next year, Saturn will be aspecting this Rahu when Saturn runs in Aries with the 10th aspect. So Capricorn again is our knees. You know, when Saturn came into Capricorn during COVID time, we were literally down to our knees. So these are special times, but they are not easy times. And see, don't mind me telling, if too much of optimism is there in you, it is good, not bad. But the planets are not behaving to keep up that optimism to its full length. I will say it in that way because I am myself a very positive, optimistic person. But when the planets make me see things, I cannot ignore the truth of it. And when 3 planets, suppose this year, November month, Ketu, Mars, Jupiter, makes a conjunction in Magha Nakshatra, in Leo, we know that the time is not easy. When Mars and Jupiter transits too much into Cancer, Leo, Gandanta, Aslesha, Magha, times are not easy. So the abnormal behavior of the planets, which is not the usual that you have seen for the past so many years, suddenly the planets, not only Jupiter Atichari, one Jupiter cannot make your life go haywire or cannot settle your life both ways. So all the planets are behaving in certain ways, which is dethroning us from our comfortable position. Or even the dethroning of a king can happen at this moment of time, because Leo is all about that. And the Leo factor is becoming very, very prominent in the coming days, especially from October, November this year onwards. So I'll talk about each ascendant, but exactly not focusing all about the Saturn movement. It is an overall, what is this retrogression of Saturn telling you to focus in the areas, because big changes are happening, especially in the Venus and Mars axis, that is Aries, Libra and Scorpio, Taurus. So please jump into the timestamp. The Libra ascendants, Saturn is going retrograde in your 6th house. 6th house Saturn, when it is direct, it is quite a lot of hectic, repetition of process, and as you have seen, the things are in a slightly delayed mode. Now retrograde Saturn will also have an effect on your 5th house also, and because Rahu is stationed over there in your 5th house in Aquarius, now Saturn's aspect on the 5th house can give some good results definitely this time, because the planet, your Yoga Karak planet, is retrograde, and it is looking towards, it is just because retrogression is not, it's an optical illusion. It seems that the planet is moving backward. Actually it is not, but obviously I have seen retrograde planets have an effect on the house which is behind them. So Rahu stationed at Aquarius, and now Saturn also kind of influencing Aquarius due to its retrograde motion. For the next half of the year, there will be certain good things which will happen, like promotion, like asking for a better name, fame, progeny. All these things can definitely happen, as the pressure in the workplace will also rise, because see, Jupiter is in the 10th house, and the 9th aspect of Jupiter is aspecting this retrograde Saturn. Jupiter is your 6th lord. It will keep you busy. Retrograde Saturn will give you a positional lift. That is what I feel, and definitely that lift will also put some additional workload, yes, or extra effort, because Jupiter is the 3rd and 6th lord in the 10th house exalted. Now for Libra, the main thing that is happening is the transit of Venus now in your 10th house. As I'm recording this, will very fast go into 11th house. It will give you gains in Leo with Ketu. Then it will go into debilitation in the 12th house and then on the Lagna. Now the 11th transit of Venus with Ketu, monetarily it should be gainful. Yes, Ketu Venus, your relationships can take a break. You may take break from some, your existing networking circles can change a bit. These things will happen. Why? Because now you will enter the second half of the year. As I told you that Saturn is retrograde, and in this retrogression of Saturn, your Lagna Lord is getting debilitated in the 12th house. Now 12th house Venus, if we take, is a Pisces Venus. Originally the 12th house is Pisces. So here it gives you certain seclusion, definitely. You can spend money on certain things, or you may require a change of place. As I told you, there can be some promotion, some change of house. These things can happen at this point of time, because Saturn is your 4th and 5th lord. Now being retrograde, Saturn will take up the pending things that had been pending for the last 6 months. You wanted to do but you couldn't do, and now the effort will be put in those areas. So when the 4th lord is retrograde, when Venus yourself, the Lagna lord, is in the 12th house debilitated, you can move places and there will be a new start to your life. That is why from August Venus will be in Virgo. September it will come to Libra, if I am not wrong. September, October, again November it will go back to Virgo. So there is a back and forth retrogression of Venus also in this retrogression of Saturn. And that is actually not bad for you. It is giving you a little bit of unsettling finish, but that feelings will make you ultimately settled, as Venus will be prominently placed in the on the Lagna in Libra the whole of December till 31st of December. 1st of January, your Lagna Lord moves to Scorpio, the 2nd house. The story changes. A new beginning happens when it goes from the Lagna to the 2nd house. A new, a new setup. So that is the theme of the next 6 months. Some kind of a setup which can be, I know some 1 to Libra people who are taking a big steps. It can be big steps, but it can be a minuscule thing also. Maybe you're changing from here to there, you're shifting a house or something like that. But some kind of new beginning, a little uncomfortable thing happening at this point of time, and then you're gaining confidence by the end of the year. That is the story for Libra. Okay, another thing is happening is that now your 7th lord is also going through a change, because 7th lord Mars, if you are married, if you have a partner, 7th lord will have a big transit. Or if you are having a Mars Antardasha or Mahadasha, if you are a business person or you have something like that, because Mars is your 2nd and 7th lord coming into the 10th and the 11th house for full 10 months from this September to next June 2027. So in these kind of conditions, when Mars, your 7th lord, is transiting 10th house and then 11th house with Jupiter, these kind of situations can also bring in marriage kind of conditions. That can also happen, because Saturn retrograde is aspecting your 5th house. And love affair of the past can come into 4th now, and it can bring you towards marriage. So Venus and Mars, both the 1st and the 7th lord, is going through big changes. Because Venus is your 8th lord also, you will have some kind of a change that is brewing up. And because Mars is your 2nd lord also, Mars ultimately will be comfortably placed in Leo in the 11th house. These kind of conditions do give rise to marriage. If not this year, it may happen in the next year also. Maybe you find somebody at this point of time in this year. For the last 6 months I'm talking. So it is overall a changing time for most of the ascendants, but for you this is very prominent, as you will gain confidence with this retrograde Saturn. Your piled up things that you had been not finding a solution will reach a conclusion. Ultimately Venus will come on the Lagna. It will be on the Lagna in September, October, November. It will again go retrograde in the 12th house, again back to Lagna in the month of December. Year end, you will end in confidence. The Lagna Lord on the Lagna, Jupiter and Mars in the 11th house, and Saturn direct in the 6th house. So this is a very changeable time for you, but ultimately the change is bringing you a grace in your personality, and the confidence rises when the Lagna Lord has such a big transit on the Lagna. A bit of unsettlement obviously comes in between, but ultimately you will feel good about whatever changes you have brought in your life. So that is quite, you should end this year on a very positive note. I hope the Dasha supports you a bit on this. Thank you. Take care. Scorpio people, Scorpio ascendants, this is the retrograde Saturn in your 5th house. Now see here, 5th house Saturn retrograde is having an influence on the, not only on your work, but your 4th and 3rd house things also, where you stay. What kind of certain changes can happen over there, and why not? Because Ketu is still in the 10th house, and it will slowly move out of your 10th house by the end of this year. Now your Lagna Lord and your 7th Lord will go for a big transit this year. Mars will be having a very big transit while the Saturn is retrograde in the 9th house and 10th house. Mars now is posited in your 7th house, then it will go into your 8th house. Some kind of change you will go through. Then as Mars goes into the 9th house, gets debilitated there, but there will be a Neech Bhanga from Jupiter. All this is happening for some kind of betterment of your prospects in your career and your personality both. Because ultimately the motto of Mars is to reach Leo, and that is why in the month of November, Mars, Jupiter and Ketu all will be in Magha Nakshatra. All the transits, whatever is happening in your horoscope, especially Scorpio, aims to the 10th house matters and then to the 11th house matters. So here it is 9, 10th and 11th house which is highly active towards this next 6 months of the year. It is a very productive time, I will put in that way. Obviously, you cannot rush at this time because Mars will be debilitated. It will get a Neech Bhanga from Jupiter in the 9th house. You will do your dharma. Certain things you will understand that you have to wage a war, and then only things will be able to culminate in the 10th house affairs, because Ketu, Mars and Jupiter will have a conjunction in Leo, in Magha for the whole month of November. December, January will see Mars and Jupiter only in the 10th house. That is a Raj Yoga. The 9th and the Kendra Lord, the 5th and the Lagna Lord coming into the 10th house. So good news for you. Any competitive examination if you're doing, if you are wanting for a promotion, if you are looking for a job where you will get praise, it will happen. But this year there is lot of fight for that, because you know what, Mars is getting debilitated and going into Leo. These are the 2 points where Mars is hovering around your Lagna Lord. Understand that. And that is happening from September 2026 to June 2027, which is very strange for one planet to move around 2 signs for 10 months. So there is a lot of things that is coming up, Scorpio, and this retrograde Saturn will settle certain things which you had been bothering you for quite a long time. Yeah, because Rahu is in the 4th house, there is some kind of an uncomfortable or change in the 4th house matters and in the 10th house matters. See, Rahu Ketu, whenever they are in the 1, 4, 7, 10 axis, this Kendra Rahu Ketu brings a lot of change. And also in the 2nd and 8th, these axes are the trigger point. And because Saturn is now retrograde, it is having an effect on your 4th house where Rahu is already there. And obviously it will have an effect on your because it is the 3rd lord, you will be trying out things which you have missed out in the 6 months, and now you'll get a success out of that. Yes, there is a war, 100%, because Mars will be in Pushya, Mars will be in Aslesha, it will be crossing the Gandanta, going to Leo in Magha, and then again it will become retrograde in the next year, January, end of January. It will again come back, crossing the Gandhanta to Aslesha. So you can understand, it's not a comfortable time, I cannot say. No, 9th, 10th, 11th Mars cannot make you comfortable. But if you are there to, you should be there for yourself. If anybody is even not there, you have to fight it out. And this is the time of fighting. You cannot keep back relaxing, which at times Scorpio people I have seen, suddenly they take a jump when they are in the back to the wall situation. So I think you have crossed that threshold of, because Mars had been really in a tight spot this year with Rahu and Saturn. So this is your time to fight back and gain the prominence when Mars next year will be very comfortably placed in Leo for a very long time. From April, then May, June, 2.5 months. Then it will go to the 11th house. Also, another thing is that your 7th lord, Venus, is going into the 10th house now with Leo, with Ketu in Leo. So, see, it is the 12th lord and the 7th lord. Venus is not very good for you. Do not see, some people can have a job change or lose their job at this point of time. It may happen for Scorpio when the 12th lord reach the 10th house or the 7th lord. But at the same time, you will be, if you lose also, you will be fighting out and getting one also. That is also there on the cards by this year. Now, when Venus, the 7th lord reaches there's a big transit of Venus in Virgo and Libra this year, starting from August, ending in December. Here, you can see some gains, definitely. And also from that gains you will have some excess expenditure. There can be foreign related matters. Your love life can see or you can get married also, because Jupiter is also in the 9th house, blessing your Lagna. Quite a lot of things is happening for you, actually, quite a lot of things. And in the midst of it, the relationship, obviously because Saturn is stationed in the 5th house, many people are facing a crisis with their progeny, with their love matters, with their courses, with all these things. But this year it is good for any kind of competition, any kind of fight out, any kind of things that requires a rigorous you or a person who will not give up. So a lot of changes ahead, and gear up for, there can be like you can get some sleepless nights also. It's not easy when Mars is debilitated in the 9th house. It's not easy. The situation is not easy, but the end of the situation you will see a bright light, and that is the story. Because the 10th house is not an easy house for any horoscope. It is a house where there is stiff competition and you have to be at your prime best. So Scorpio, I feel there can be a lot of changes. A change of your intentions will be good. Mars will be aspecting, when it is debilitated, the 3rd house of exaltation. Saturn retrograde means also your cheshtaval will be high. Your efforts will be high to keep on with that, so that ultimately you reach the goal, which somewhat you will achieve in this year. But next year also there is a big transit of Mars and Jupiter in very prominent position in the 9th and 10th and 11th house. So pull up your sleeves. You have to keep on going so that the better days dawn on you. Yeah, take care, Scorpio. Sagittarius, Saturn is going retrograde in your 4th house Fourth house Saturn retrograde is having an effect on the third house also, where Rahu is posited and Saturn will enhance the third house matters. Third house is, small distance travels. It is your purusharth, it is your effort that you put in, communications, all these things, and you will be quite enthusiastically doing all these things. Only because Jupiter is in the 8th house and now Mars is in the 6th house, this Mars will have your yoga karak planet, because it is a very important 5th house planet for you. So this Mars will have a big transit in your 8th house and your 9th house, that is Leo. And Jupiter, your Lagna Lord, will have a conjunction with Ketu and Mars in the 9th house in November. When Saturn is retrograde, lot of things that you had been thinking about, you will be initiating. It is not a bad Saturn retrograde for you. This can push your boundaries, but one thing I must say over here is that whatever you are thinking about, any project, moving out of your home, moving, whatever journeys you take, whatever decisions you make, understand that the Rahu Ketu axis will shift to your 8th and the 2nd house by the end of this year. And this whole year, Jupiter will be most of the time in your 8th house with Mars. There will be sudden changes. Lagna Lord, 5th Lord in the 8th. There will be changes. Whatever you are thinking, maybe you do not get the full out of it, and again you have to go through the process. You have to repeat the process. Not a very easy time. Next year the time is much better, especially from the middle half of the year or May onwards, when Mars will be permanently, ultimately in Leo. Jupiter will also go in Leo in June. From that onwards, your luck will be better supported by these two planets. As of now, because Saturn retrograde is aspecting the Lagna, there will be instances where you have to try things more, and you may at times, with the Cheshta Bal going very high, can get frustrated also, because 8th house is like, it is the deathbed. Why it is called the deathbed is that you have to wait for the time. 8th house, you cannot have a will or wish of your own. Whenever though Mars is getting a Neej Bhanga with Jupiter, but the Lagna Lord itself is 8th from itself. So that is, though exalted, yes, exalted means you will get something which gives you gains, but at this moment of time, it is served to you, but exactly not the way. Anything, it can be anything. It can be monetary things, it can be professional things, it can be your health, it goes through a change. It can be your progeny also, the 5th house Lord. It can be your love matters also. All these things. So that is why I cannot say if I say it's a great time, then I will be lying. So I'll not say that. You have to be cautious. You have to understand where to put in the effort, because see, the difference between motivation speakers and astrologers is that a motivational speaker will tell you put in your efforts in all the moment. An astrologer will tell you put in the maximum effort when the time is right. Because now, when especially Venus is also getting debilitated, your 6th Lord gets debilitated in the 10th house, which is not bad, but there can be changes. All these things are saying that whatever the changes may be, you were not exactly expecting that, and now you know that yes, I have to somehow go through this and adjust myself. But yes, when Venus goes into Virgo, it is good. Monetarily things can look better if you are looking for monetary things, but at the professional level, it can be something which is you are new to. But then Venus will go into Libra also. 6th Lord in the 11th house, any kind of competition you will be able to cross through. this is a good time. And that time starts from August. Venus will be transiting your 10th and 11th house, the 6th lord in the 10th house and then in the 11th house till the end of the year. So you see, that is the thing. The competition will be high also, whatever you're looking towards. If you are a student, 4th house Saturn retrograde, you have to do the things again and again. The competition may look tough. If you're looking in an official front, you may have to encounter people who are like better than you or something like that. There is stiff competition in it. So all these things have a mixed bag for you. It is not an easy path. So that is the thing. Otherwise, this year will, your health also, you should have a check on that. 4th retrograde Saturn, mother's health, your health, even if you are having a progeny who is a little bit weak or something, because the 5th lord is going into the 8th house, or if it is an elderly, the son or the daughter is elder, some kind of change with that person can also happen. Be very careful and tread the path as you cross this next 6 months with this retrograde Saturn. Though you can say Saturn will be retrograde till 11th of December, but understand Saturn moves very slowly. So the whole December month, by the time Saturn gets direct, your Lagna Lord will go retrograde in the 9th house in Leo. So something which is desirable may be given to you at the end of this year. But then again, you will know for that also, again the Lagna Lord comes back to the 8th house where Ketu will now be with Jupiter. There will be certain things you have to, you will feel that it is not in your control. When Ketu-Jupiter conjunction happens in the 8th house, there will be sudden changes, sudden things thrown at you. So take one month at a time. Obviously, I'll be making videos more for that. It is not an easy time, and you cannot just take bizarre decisions. That is what I am trying to say. So be cautious, be smart, look in for things, but understand what difficulties and what conditions it can bring along with. So take care, Sagittarius people. Quite a lot for you. Capricorn ascendants, the transit of your Lagna Lord retrograde in the 3rd house now will bring situations which you had you had been thinking that it would settle by itself, but now you know that the steps you have to take. The retrograde Saturn is not only the only factor that is happening. Obviously, it makes you contemplate, look back, and do the things regarding yourself and the 2nd house matters. But here, there are 2 more things that is happening, especially the retrogression and the long transit of Venus, your Yogacara, in the 9th house and the 10th house. Now, as of now, because the Capricorn people that I have interacted with, Ketu in the 8th house had been causing some upheavals definitely, and which is the way Ketu works in the 8th house, because 8th house is sudden events, and Rahu Ketu are the those nodes where they keep throwing challenges in this area. 8th house is sudden losses, sudden challenges, sudden change of events. That has happened for many Capricorn people. Now, as I'm talking, making this video, Venus is very fast moving towards the 8th house, which is your 10th lord with Ketu. Definitely, there can be certain things in the 10th house matter, your profession, your 5th lord, your progeny, your name and fame can see an upyash. It is not a very good situation with Venus Ketu over there. Be very careful in the coming months, as Venus will also get debilitated in the 9th house, and finally it will enter your 10th house back and forth in the 9th and 10th. because the things that especially professionally or business wise that has been disturbing you or creating some problem, Venus will try to rectify those with this back and forth movement. Rahu Ketu will obviously change signs, and this Rahu on the Capricorn on the Lagna and Ketu in the 7th will bring lot of changes in the life. Whenever Rahu Ketu axis travels the Kendra, big changes happens. And over here you are ending the year with Venus in debilitation in the 9th house, which is not bad. 9th house Venus, yes, debilitated. There can be certain things that bothers you, but monetarily it should not be bad. And then it goes to the 10th house in Libra, which stays in Libra till 31st of December. So this is one sector of your life where you will, the 10th house matters. Some matters definitely will see the day of light, definitely. And that one thing, with this retrograde Saturn with your efforts will make you do the thing that is important. Next comes another very important transit is Mars, which is your 11th lord and 4th lord, which will get debilitated after this transit in the 5th and 6th house in your 10th house, in your 7th house. 7th house Jupiter Mars, there can be some hiccups in the journey with partnership. 7th house is all kind of partnership, not only marriage. And then Mars reaches Leo, where it will form a conjunction with Ketu, Jupiter and Mars in Leo in November. This time is not a good time at all. We don't want to see Mars Ketu conjunction with the 12th and the 3rd lord in the 8th house. There can be situations which suddenly runs out of your hand, and that is why this retrograde Saturn makes you should be taking this retrogression very carefully and slowly, which areas you need to rectify on. Because see, even Jupiter for you is not a very great planet, the 3rd lord and the 12th lord in the 7th house. Yes, it can give marriage. I'm not saying it will not, it rather gives. But because Mars enters this zone with Jupiter and it will be aspecting your Lagna, you can suddenly become very stubborn, as Mars exalted aspect will be on the Lagna and it will be debilitated in the 7th house with Jupiter. Having a Nij Bhanga, but then still the challenges remain. And Mars will be in the Cancer Leo Gandanta for a very long time, from this September to June 2027. 4th house matters, that is the peace of the home, land, property, real estate. If you have to buy, if you have to sell, that is better. But if you have to go through a settlement or buying, I would say that it should be postponed. Because I do not like this conjunction of Jupiter and Mars in the 7th house. If at all it needs to be done, you should be very carefully, because Venus also goes debilitated and then it goes into Libra. The chances of things going wrong can very much be there, and especially the 8th house Ketu will be there till November. November month is not a great month for you, with Mars Jupiter Ketu combination in the 8th house. So there are certain things that is challenging with this Saturn retrograde, no doubt. But those challenges, Capricorn, you have to accept, and then you must be very prudent in your decisions, and there is no knee-jerk decision that is required at this moment of time. Venus's position looks good by the end of the year. 10th house matters can get solved if you have an issue, but the 11th lord into the 8th house, or the 4th lord into the in the 8th house with the 12th lord with Ketu, can give you big losses also if you are not very cautious. regarding your business things or your savings or your networking. From your networking, anybody can ask money, they can just take away. And that is why what happens, Rahu Ketu comes into the 1st and the 7th. Because whenever these kind of transits happen, they come to teach you a lot of lesson. And that's why I always say it's very difficult to judge as Rahu and Ketu both transits from the 29 degrees to the 0 degree or the 1 degree. A very cautious time you have to deal with. I cannot be better, because next year you'll see Rahu on the Lagna, which is quite erratic. As Rahu, why? There's a reason. Capricorn is a very slow and dark sign of Saturn, very difficult sign of Saturn. Rahu wants things very fast. You cannot want things fast over here. And Ketu, Jupiter will be in the 7th house. If you want to get out of a relationship, it is okay, but if you want to keep it, this is a very not an easy time with the 12th and 3rd lord with Ketu in the 7th house. Relationships can see big challenges. That is the thing. For progeny related matters, it is better, as the 5th lord is ultimately going into the 9th house and the 10th house. So overall, a mixed bag to a little precautionary thing that the retrograde Saturn is bringing in you. Because while Saturn is retrograde, your Cheshta Bal will improve and increase too much to get the things that are stalled to be done. But in the process, as I told you, your decisions should be very calculative, very prudent, and not in a hurried step, as Mars can cause bizarre result in the 7th and 8th house. With Ketu being there in the 8th house. Okay, so this is how the Saturn retrograde and the next 6 months will pan out for you. Hope you sail through it in in all your sanity, and yeah, that is what I can say. All the best. Aquarius ascendant. Aquarius, the retrogression of Saturn is happening in your 2nd house, and now Saturn will have an aspect on the Lagna also. This is good, this is not bad, but you can be heaped with lot of responsibilities at this point of time, with Rahu already being on the Lagna, and Saturn, as it is moving backwards, it is having an effect on the Lagna. So this can feel a little overwhelming with the retrograde Saturn, but there are 2 other changes. Your 10th lord and your 9th lord, Venus and Mars, will go through a big change. While Saturn is retrograde, I think, because again Jupiter is in the 6th house, and Mars will come from presently in your 2nd house, the 10th lord, then it will come to the 3rd, and then it will come to the 6th house. Debilitated, 10th lord debilitated, but with the 11th lord conjunct, it will get a Neej Bhanga in the 6th house. You will fight it out. So this transit of Mars is not bad for you. Yeah, it can give you certain challenges, but Mars in the 6th house, it accepts the challenge. And it is getting a Neej Bhanga from Jupiter. The 10th and the 11th lord is going to the 6th house. The transit is not bad, because it is materialistically or monetarily better transit, and that is why I feel if some kind of a change happens in the 10th house area due to the big transit of Mars from September 2026 to June 2027 in the 6th and 7th house, then you will have to shoulder some important things, some responsibilities, some changes. That is why Saturn is retrograde, and you have to go through these in a very precariously, not in a very cautious manner. You have to tread through the next 6 months, because it is your Lagna Lord. First 6 months was fast, I mean, considering the speed of Saturn. Next 6 months, Saturn is very slow and retrograde, and things are again coming up which needs to be sorted. Because your 4th and 9th lord Venus is getting debilitated. First it will join Ketu in the Leo. Be very cautious with your relationships, with your matters of the family. Then it will go to the 8th house debilitated. It can give you money, but there can be problems at the home front. Retrograde Saturn in the 2nd house, not very good. You can have disputes with your family members also. Mars or the 10th lord coming into the 6th house, the 3rd lord, you can have some, Rogrin Shatru creeping up for you. So Venus's debilitation in the 8th house is good for money, but not for the peace of it. And then Venus will go into Libra finally. That is good. Till the end of the year, lot of things will be sorted. So that is a thing that you have to understand. Now relationships for you this year looks a bit challenging because Ketu, Jupiter and Mars will form a conjunction in the 7th house in the month of November. Again, Saturn is retrograde. You maybe want to rectify the things, or you want to put an end to it. Putting an end is easier than, if you at all want to get out of it. That can happen. But if you treasure the thing, if you treasure the relationship, you have to walk the path in a very cautious manner. As Mars in Leo with Jupiter, it's not very easy combination out there. Then Ketu will move into ultimately your 6th house, and Rahu will move into the 12th house. So this is a complicated next 6 months for all the signs. For you, the matter is mainly, as I told you, it can be 10th house matters, and it can very well be, as 10th lord going to the 6th, it's 9th from itself. And you can go through certain changes, which is like you had not envisaged in the 10th house area. So that is why Mars is getting debilitated, but later it's getting a Neej Bhanga also with Jupiter. Situations improve slowly but surely. And Venus also, because it is your 4th and 9th lord, there can be some, when Venus the 9th lord comes into the 8th, there can be, you cannot depend on luck. Monetary things, caution. Jupiter in the 6th house also. Ketu will move into the 6th house with Jupiter. There can be, Bhagya Bhang Yoga. That can happen. So these all are the factors that is coming up. It is, retrograde Saturn, first and foremost, I do not find it very conducive for the 2nd house matters. It can bring money, but it can, monetarily, it will not be bad. But it can create disputes within family members. That can very well happen. 4th lord in the 8th, which is also not good. That is the 9th lord, also Venus, getting debilitated in the month of August. September, October, you will see Venus in Libra. You can have journeys due to work, due to pleasure, whatever. Again, Venus will go retrograde into the 8th house. So, back and forth, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Mercury will also get retrograde. A lot of things. Main focus should be on your health, on family matters. You may have to go away from the family. That can also happen. 4th lord in the 9th house. If you have to buy anything, buy a property, it should not be in your native land. 4th lord in the 9th house. Be very cautious how much loan you take. Rogrin Shatru, 6th house, Jupiter is there. Jupiter becomes very optimistic with loans here. Later it becomes a pain. That is also a thing. Jupiter Rahu in the 6th house becomes very optimistic. So be very careful with Rogrin Shatru. Any kind of, because Saturn will be aspecting the Lagna, if your health is not in a very good condition, you need some checkup, please go and have it. That is also part of the thing. Yeah. So some expenses seen, some health, or as the Shadripus happen, 6th house becoming so active, so the Rogrin Shatru, all these things should be taken care of. The 10th lord getting debilitated, maybe you start something new and you are not very comfortable over there. So these kind of things are there. It's a mixed bag actually. Cannot run away say that it's a great, again people will come and comment, but what is what, I have to put it in that way. But next 6 months, as this year is very volatile till now, next 6 months is nothing short of that. The transits are like that. So that needs to be kept in mind. if the dasha is good, you will be prudent in your approach. If the dasha has to take you down, you will make mistakes over there, anybody for that matter. So take care, Aquarius people. It's a mixed bag for you. I hope you understand how this retrograde Saturn paves your path and what are the areas that needs to be checked for you. And I have told about all the planets. The main focus will be obviously the planets dasha that you're running. That will give the maximum result. So take care. Pisces ascendant. Pisces, the Saturn is getting retrograde on the Lagna, and it is having a say on the 12th house matters where Rahu is. As a retrograde planet has an effect on the house behind it. Obviously, this is retrogression, means you will put in effort. There are certain things which needs to be rectified, needs to be again built up, that needs to be done. Jupiter will have the 9th aspect on the Saturn. You will have an approach which will give you the knowledge. That is important. If you have to wait for certain things, you will wait. The transit of Mars in Cancer, 5th house and then 6th house Leo, with the Lagna Lord is very prominent this year. Because Mars is your 9th Lord. So see, there is a change that is happening. The 10th Lord Jupiter with the 9th Lord. Dharma Karma Yoga. The 10th Lord Jupiter with the 9th Lord Mars coming into the 5th house. Here can be big changes about your progeny also. If you are planning a child, that can also see some light of the day. Rahu Ketu will change axis. That is when Rahu comes into the 11th house, it will be a better transit for you. But the most important transit is with the 10th Lord or the Lagna Lord Jupiter with Mars in the 5th house. You can change, your bhagya can go for a change, because Mars comes into debilitation in the 5th house, getting a Neej Bhanga from Jupiter as Jupiter gets exalted in the 5th house. So, but from the 10th, Jupiter is the 8th house from Sagittarius. So there are certain changes which is inevitable, and I think you will be putting your effort to bring that changes or make that changes happen in your life. The time is not bad because Mars, Jupiter and Ketu will have a conjunction in Leo in the 6th house. These kind of conjunctions in the 6th house is good. You can have daily routine change, a career change, because the 6th house is Artha Trikona. And for you it is Leo. Ketu, Jupiter, Mars combination, here it does well. If you are looking for competitive examination, I think you have to work a bit hard, but it can see the light of the day. You can have a better result from that. All these things are good. One thing is that because Saturn is retrograde, it has a retrograde aspect on the Taurus, and Venus gets debilitated. Sometimes you will feel frustrated. The debilitation of Venus is happening in the 7th house. Venus is your 8th Lord also. It can create some kind of separation from the partner due to work, maybe that can happen. If you because these kind of conditions is that Venus is also the 8th Lord, and there can be sudden changes in a relationship if the dasha is like that. So these things, a little bit care should be taken about that. Venus will bring some changes, that is for sure, because it'll have a big transit from August in the 7th and the 8th house. Ultimately it will go into Libra till the end of December 31st. Changes will happen when the 8th Lord is in the 8th house. The changes can be in your partnership, relationship. The changes will happen in your job area, 10th Lord in the 5th house, 8th from itself. You will grow as a person. Your maturity will grow. Luck will favor you. And the transit of Mars from the 5th to the 6th, Mars will be more comfortable in the 6th house. and so changes over there, or your competitive spirit will be high and you will be able to push yourself through. But the most difficult transit of Mars will be in your 4th house after this transit in the 3rd house in the month of August. So it is, most of the things slowly will look up and will be better. There could be major changes in the professional area, especially in October, November. Monetarily, it is good unless and until you squander your money, because Rahu is still in the 12th house. Then it will go to the 11th house from December. Some loss, if you're running the dasha of the 12th house dasha, Rahu, Saturn or anything, this retrograde Saturn can suddenly bring up some losses. So take care of your health. Very important. Health will go through a rectification, because Jupiter will be with the 9th aspect, will give you the knowledge how to handle your health, how to become, follow a regime, because Saturn is on the Lagna. There can be a health crisis. There can be work crisis, health crisis. These kind of crisis Saturn brings on the Lagna, even if you're not a Pisces moon. That's why Lagna Saturn is not any short of Saraswati, even if the moon is not there. It is quite a pressure cooker condition there. But you'll come out of it, and you'll feel better by the end of this year. Yeah, that is for sure. But there will be a lot of changes also happening for you, as Jupiter is in the 5th house now. Then it will be joined by Ketu from December. You will go through certain kind of changes, no doubt about it. So Pisces people, mostly I feel the changes will give you a better impetus, and so you must not you must go with the changes. But obviously you cannot rush up things when the Saturn is on the Lagna. Things are slow, and it will happen in due course. You just have to keep on putting your best, what you can, and things will culminate in time. Retrograde Saturn is all about clearing up the stack up things that had not been done till yet. So a lot of things will be cleared, a lot of endings will be there, as Saturn will be in Uttar Bhadrapada and Pisces. Ending of a situation, ending of certain other professional things, and then as Saturn will go into Aries next year. So beginnings will happen. It's bound to happen. So hope this insight helps you. This next part of the year is also not easy. So take care, Pisces.